This motherfucker. Alright. Peace, 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 peace. To all the real ones who seeking knowledge and understanding of self. And if you're seeking the knowledge and understanding of self, there's some information that you need to know. This dude right here, man, this Indonesian genetically modified human being here called Barack Obama, right? Back in 2016, this guy signed a bill eliminating Negro and Oriental from federal laws. So you might be asking, like, what that mean? Like, what does that mean that, he removed Negro from federal law? Well, for those Negroes who truly understand that they're Aboriginal Indians, that's a big deal. Removing Negro from federal law. Mind you, it was Negroes who fought in the War of Independence, 1776. And before they was classified as Negroes, they were Indians, coloreds, okay? So Indian, coloreds, Negro, black. Those were classifications to hide the fact that the people, the black people in this country, were the aboriginals of this country. So those titles, those classifications was to hide that fact because the American government was stealing land, forcibly stealing land from the Aboriginal people. So this is why they created a category, a title for these people, and they called them Indians. And then basically you have to understand that there was two Americas. There was the British America, and then there was the British America was the colonial America. Then there was the United States of America, where the 13 colonies was united to make the United States of America. That was founded after 1776, after the War of Independence. Now those Mohawk Indians, those Indians who were the one to kick over the T on the ships, on the British ships to really enrage the war. They had treaties once they won that war. But the president, George Washington, didn't honor those treaties, and that's when the war started. Fast forward. Civil War, Seminole Wars, other wars, a lot of wars, whole lot of wars. When we get to the Civil War, it was the Negroes who won the Civil War. After the Civil War, these Negroes, commission a deal with the government. They had voting rights, they had treaties, civil rights, all that. Land rights, everything. The government started bringing over Europeans, immigrating people from the third world, from Europe. Start bringing them over here through Ellis Island, stuff like that. In the 1800s, late 1800s, after 1865. This is when you start hearing about the Black Wall Streets was getting bombed and all the lynchings and this, that, and the third, because these immigrants are coming over and they were guaranteed, if they work for a certain amount of years, they get their freedom, they get their own land and business and all that. And they came over here and seen black people doing excellent. And they didn't like it. And they came up with mobs and gangs and organizations to undermine and disenfranchise and terrorize the colored people, the Negroes. 100 years of that crap, we get to 1965. Civil rights movements. Now, under the Civil Rights Bill, it states that these were Indian civil rights laws. It doesn't say Negro, it doesn't say African. It says Indian civil rights laws. The 1968 civil rights laws was created because of the Negro insurrections that were going on, because of the riots after the death of Martin Luther King. And they were named the Indian Civil Rights, the Indian Bill of Rights. Now, with this signing of this law came a Democratic Party, because there was a Democratic president that was in charge. This is after the death of JFK, after the assassination of JFK. So this law was passed, and because the Democratic Party passed this law, this Civil Rights Bill, which is nicknamed the Indian Civil Rights Bill, the Negroes were now able to have citizens. They were considered citizens. And part of this citizenship consideration, see, there's a difference. The Constitution says, okay, you were born in America, so you're a citizen of this country. But we live in nation states. So a lot of the states that a lot of the black people were fighting in were states that they immigrated to out of the South. These nation states did not have to honor them because they wasn't born in that state. They didn't have to honor them. So a lot of Negroes fought, a lot of blacks fought for the right to be treated as citizens, to have equal rights with all the other immigrants and everybody else that was here. And one of those pivotal rights was the right to be employed, the right to go to the same college a white person go to. If this is the college that's going to get me the good job, I know how to do the job, but because I didn't go to this prestigious college, because I wasn't able to go here, then I can't get the job. And if white folks was running all the manufacturing companies and this, that, and they were cutting black people out and using excuses not because they're black, it's because they haven't been to college or they haven't been to this, that, and the third. So, and if because we're black, we're segregated, so we're not able to do, go to the school to get the paperwork, to get the degrees, to get the job. We had our own cities, but those were bombed out. Those were destroyed. So now we have to rely on the government and his people so we can take care of ourselves. But now they're trying to tell us that we can't. They're cutting us out of our way to survive in this country. So we fought for civil rights. We demanded that there be a law established that they have to deal with us. They can't just not neglect us in our own country. And one of those pivotal laws was the affirmative action law. Affirmative action. Why is all this important? Because the affirmative action law, the 1968 Civil Rights Laws, which is named the Indian Civil Rights Laws, the Indian Bill of Rights. And I'm going to pull that up for you so you can see it yourself. But the people who fought in the Civil War, and World War I, World War II, Spanish-American War, every war that ever existed for this country and before were fought by coloreds, Negroes, Indians, blacks. Civil rights law was signed for Negroes, for Indians. So why was it a strategic move for this Indonesian president here, Barack Hussein Obama, which is not his real name, why would he, in his term, sign a bill eliminating the name Negro from all federal records? From thus his signature on, from 2016 on to now. What does that mean for Negroes, for blacks? If now, on government record, it is stated that there's basically no more Negroes according to the federal government. Negroes do not exist in this country according to the federal government. Negroes go back to colors, colors go back to Indian. Mind you, the 1968 Civil Rights Bill is named the Indian Civil Rights Bill. So by Barack Hussein Obama, back in 2016, signing this bill, and now calling these people and their descendants, the Negroes, now calling them African Americans, have voided every treaty, every land law, every land treaty, every civil rights bill that have ever existed, that our ancestors have ever fought for in this country. He has wiped us away with the stroke of a pen. This is why civil rights and equal rights is falling on the LGBT community, the immigrants that's invading this country. Somebody that don't want their penis anymore, somebody that identifies as a man who was a woman, whatever. Bio-binary or whatever. What's the word? Binary, whatever they create. Civil rights, equal rights is now falling on everybody else in this country because there is no more black people according to the federal law. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you don't recognize that you are Aboriginal, you don't recognize that you are the Indians, that you belong to this country, that you're from this country, that you are the soil, you are of the soil of this land. And you allow them to misidentify you. They have identified you away from your own land. Now African Americans have fought for nothing in this country. There is no civil rights paperwork, no land treaties. There's nothing. This country is now up for sale. The landlords have been written off. Negroes are the landlords of this country. A whole Democratic Party, a whole party. There's only two parties in this country. A whole party is held down by black women. Not even black men. Black women holds down the Democratic Party. Why do you think they bring in all these immigrants from South America and everywhere else and trying to get them to be the new constituents of the Democratic Party? Because they have erased black folks. Turned you on to African Americans. What is that? What is that? You go to Africa, nobody in Africa calls Africa African. Okay? They name you after a whole continent. That continent don't even deal on a continental level. They have countries within that continent, and they have tribes within those countries and provinces or whatever. It's not like that. You can't just say I'm African and okay. African from what country? From what tribe? Obama's not African. He's from so-called Kenya, which he's really not. He's Indonesian. Ask his father. Whoops, you can't. They killed him before you can ask him a question. Anyway, so now that we are classified as African Americans did not fight for civil rights in this country. African Americans did not fight in the Civil War in this country. There's no record of African Americans doing any of that. Okay? So now, because of this situation, which I've been talking about, which a lot of, black folks has ignored, unfortunately, this is the situation that has occurred. And I want y'all to see this and understand this to the fullest. This could be the end of affirmative action. Why this could be the end of affirmative action? Why all of a sudden, in 2022, the Supreme Court wants to eliminate affirmative action? NAACP still exists. What the hell is going on? I mean, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson is still alive. Al Sharpton got his own damn show off of CNN. So how they can talk about the end of affirmative action? Affirmative action was the legal guarantee that a corporation, small business, cannot hire totally outside of the black community in America. Meaning you should not go to a business, to a factory, and only see one type of people working there. No diversity. Unlike today, well, for English you gotta press 1. Yeah, Mexicans are everywhere doing everything. They're cutting the grass, they're building the houses, they're working in the delis, they're delivering the food. They're Hispanics, period. Spanish-speaking people are taking over. And they're starting with so-called black communities. Ain't that something? So, because Obama back in 2016 federally wiped away a whole nation of people. This is why they took off Aunt Jemima off the syrup, Uncle Ben's, This is why they took all the black Indians off of the sports leagues, emblems and all that. No more of that. We have been erased, people. And now they're just continuing to erase us. Black Lives Matter, they have turned black people into an organization called Black Lives Matter, run by 3 lesbians, funded by George Soros. Some evil demigod with a lot of money that funds everything evil, basically. It's like the devil's accountant or something. Shit. And if you want to, donate to black people, if you want to help black people, now black people has become an organization run by lesbians who advocate for the dismantling of the nuclear black family, the destruction of the black community. Advocates for this. Because black people don't exist in this country anymore. By law, black people don't exist in this country anymore. The civil laws do not apply to African Americans because African Americans have not fought for anything. You are a new misnomer in this country. Yes, it's over. So let's talk about this affirmative action situation here. Let's hear about this.
Book education could be on the chopping block. The Supreme Court is ready to rule on 2 cases challenging affirmative action. Book education could be on the chopping block. The Supreme Court is ready to rule on 2 cases challenging affirmative action. A group accusing Harvard and the University of North Carolina of discriminating against Asian American applicants by valuing Black and Hispanic students more. The schools argue their framework is necessary to create a diverse student body. Biden's U.S. Solicitor General went a step further, saying affirmative action is, quote, critical national security imperative. If woke universities care about fairness, it is interesting that almost half of white students are admitted into Harvard and are recruited athletes, legacy students, or a kid of donors or staff. So, Greg, I think it's going to be interesting to watch the left lose their minds when Clarence Thomas votes to get rid of affirmative action.
That's pretty funny. They said critical national imperative. Security. So the reason why they say that is so when it goes away, it will be a threat to democracy.
Yes, it will.
This is now another thing. Look, when white students are disavowing white on their applications, like a third of them choose non-white when they tick the box, that tells you that it's better to be non-white. I think equality has been reached, at least in the academic setting. I think at some point affirmative action was necessary, but like training wheels on a bike, sometimes it's got to go. But white privilege is a myth. If there's no white people who want to be white on their application, and the research about preferences, it's for parents and relatives who donate to Harvard. The other sad part too is that there's always an implicit judgment when people meet you. Did you really get there on character, competence, or color?
Yeah, well, Jessica, obviously white students come into the debate about affirmative action, but the cases at the Supreme Court are about Asian American students and Hispanic students and Black students, so it's really not about white privilege at all.
Well, it's part of the larger debate about affirmative action, and it always will be. But colleges are trying to create a community of learners, not a community of the best test takers, right? And affirmative action goes so much further than talking about race. No one is, discussing the fact that if you're someone who grew up in Utah or Wyoming, that you're more likely to get accepted to a top university than people coming out of New York or California because there are so many of them. And no one arguing on behalf of these Asian students in the Harvard or UNC case are saying that the Black kids were not qualified. They're just talking about these test scores. And if you are judged only by your test scores, you're going to end up with a lot of bots, essentially, right? And we know that taking standardized tests is something that is not good for certain kids, right? Kids who have learning disabilities, for instance, can't perform as well. I think they're an important marker, and obviously they need to stay for things like going to medical school and things like that. I understand why the LSAT continues to be as important. But...
Hold on. Not a yin-yang, not a bullcrap. Affirmative action is more than just about school. I mean, probably less than 10% of black people go to college. Like an affluent white college. Harvard and Yale and all that. They usually go to a community college. Can't afford it. Even if you can get in, you can't afford it. So they use the price, the price gap to keep blacks out anyway. And they do it, and the ones that do get in there is usually either running on a track field or running up and down a football field or shooting a ball into a hoop. And I'm talking about black American. I'm not talking about Nigerian. I'm not talking about somebody from Ghana. I'm not talking about somebody from Brazil, from the Dominican Republic. I'm not talking about from Haiti. I'm not talking about them. They fall under immigrant status. And they still check black. You want to know who the real black people going in there? It's a guy from India. From Hindustan, to be exact. He checked black. He don't check Asian. He checks black. And he gets in Harvard. But it's not about school. It's also about employment, housing, everything. Riding the goddamn bus. That was what was the whole boycott was about. You can't, affirmative action is, first of all, we need black bus drivers. Y'all can't do that. Y'all cutting us out of everything. So now they're going to use the excuse for the schools. Oh, Harvard and Yale, to cut out the whole idea of affirmative action. Why? Because black people don't exist in this country anymore. That's why. Let's go back to Mr. Obama. So it says, let's see. And Obama's talking about, there we go, right here. And this is the law, H.R. 4238. If you want to check it out for yourself. Public Law, H.R. 4238. So this is what happened. By 1980, the category, I'm starting from the second paragraph, I ain't starting from the top. By 1980, the categories had gone through nearly 20 deviations. People could identify as one of the 15 possibilities, including now derogatory words such as Negro. These classifications might shed some light on why some federal laws from that time contain outdated verbiage that's now being addressed. After it was unanimously passed with 380 votes, President Barack Obama signed H.R. 4238 on Friday, which amends two federal acts from the 70s that define minorities with the term that is now insensitive or outdated. So minorities itself is not insensitive. You're calling us minor. So who's the major? If I'm the minor, who's the major? Huh? That's derogatory as well. Anyway, the Department of Energy Act for decades described minorities as a Negro, Puerto Rican, American Indian, Eskimo, Oriental, or Aleut, or is a Spanish-speaking individual of Spanish descent. The new bill changes the language to Asian American, Native Hawaiian, which can be anybody. Asian American can be anybody from Asia. A Pacific Islander, anybody from the Pacific area. Hawaii, a Hawaii native, and then whoever else from any other island. African American, Hispanic. Only place called Hispaniola was the Dominican Republic in Haiti. Puerto Rican. Oh, they still get to keep their name, which it doesn't mean anything but Port Rich. Native American, which is anybody born in America, or Alaska Native, anybody born in Alaska. There's also similar language in the local Public Works, Capital Department, and Investment Act. The bill was sponsored by Representative Grace Ming, which is now considered Asian American, Democrat, New York, with 74 Democrats co-sponsored and 2 Republican ones who focus on the word Oriental, not Negro. Oriental is an insulting term that needs to be removed from the books, and I am extremely pleased that my legislation to do that is now the law of the land, Ming said in the statement. So Ming just wanted to change Oriental. Barack and his slick ass, because he's the president to usher in a new world order, you can't take over the country if you still have landlords. So you have to get rid of the landlords. And they couldn't kill us all. They ain't got us to kill all of ourselves with all the crime and drugs and stuff that goes on in our community. So he took a stroke of a pen and he wiped us out. The U.S. Census never used the word Oriental, which became associated in the U.S. with, exotoxism and Asian American stereotypes in the 20th century, but it dropped Negro from identities in 2013 after people during the 2010s count said that they were offended by it. The director at the time said 56,000 people during research in the 1990s written under other races that identified as Negro. So the census had continued to include the word in its 2000s count and also in 2010. But by then people were raising concerns. Who's these people that were raising, what people? What people? So now, mind you, I'm gonna tap on the law. Let me tap on the law, man. HR 4238. This is public information, man. It's public information. So now that the affirmative action situation is under jeopardy, which is more than just what they're trying to make it be about, which is Harvard and Yale. Who gives a hell about Harvard and Yale? Affirmative action is the reason why you're able to live in the neighborhood you live in. The reason why you can ride the bus the way you ride the reason why you got a black bus driver. Black American. I'm not talking about black Nigerian and black all this other crap. No. I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about black-born Americans. Black Americans, not immigrants with immigrant-born children in America. I'm not talking about that neither, because they still fall under special privileges. We have been wiped out, and now they can officially take the country in whatever direction they want to take it to. because we have been officially wiped out of the legal process. They used to say black has no standing under the law, but Negro does, and colored does. This is the reason why they kept changing our title. When you change the title, you change the dynamics of the subject of the title. A manager is not a supervisor, a sergeant is not a captain is not a lieutenant is not a soldier. A private or whatever. You can't just do that. So when you keep changing our titles, keep changing our names, and we have laws and treaties that fall under these titles. And then somebody people come about and say, oh, they don't like that word Negro. They like to be called black. Oh, they don't like to be called black no more. They want to be called African American. Like, really? But what about those laws and treaties and situations that happened that our ancestors fought for to be recognized as citizens, things like that, because we ran off the the reservation. And we ran up, because that Jim Crow crap. And most of it, they try to hide what they snatch Negro real quick. They try to hide that for the most part. They talk about it real quick, but mostly it was about Oriental. Obama took it himself to add the Negro in there too. You see that? No black president, no fake black. He ain't even black at all. He ain't even African. He's Indonesian. He's Asian. He's the cousin. He's like a cousin tribe to people to Kamala Harris, who they at first when she was running sponsored as a black woman. Then later on said she's an Asian black woman, Asian Jamaican. Now she's an Asian American. They just plain out say she's an Asian American. I thought she was the first black. Come on, see, this is what I'm saying, man. Public law right here, man. They done wipe black people out of this country. So civil rights. Now let me go to the civil rights thing. Go to my page here. Let's check this out real quick.
Original Black American Indians. Black Lives Matter is a propaganda to keep blacks thinking that they're African Americans that came on slave ships. We already know. We are waking our people up to let them know that we are the American indigenous Indians. Black Lives Matter do not represent our people. We do. Jesse Jackson do not represent our people. Barack Obama do not represent our people. We're not.
See? Come on, man. What did he say? The Negro. They kill him, sign an Indian civil rights law, change your name to black, change your title to African American, which voids the Indian civil rights laws. And now civil rights is given out to everybody else. Shit. Alright, this is where it was at right here. This is the act, which says, why was the act nicknamed Indian instead of African or Negro. Civil Rights Act, 1968. Public law. 92, 84, 82, status 73. Enacted April 11th, 1968. A landmark law in the United States signed into law by United States President Lyndon B. Johnson during the King assassination riots. We burnt down Washington. We burnt the White House. Burnt it up. Look it up. This wasn't out of an act of kindness. We burnt their ass up. We made them. And what does it say? The act to prescribe penalties for certain acts of violence or intimidation and for other purposes. Nicknames: Indian Civil Rights Act. Indian Bill of Rights. I gotta blow that up. You want to look? Hold on. You want to look at the act in its entirety? So all this stuff is public information, man. The Bible says my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge. It ain't like the knowledge. They ain't hiding shit. They used to hide it, but now the information is out here. Daniel 12, for all my religious people, read it. Now, oh yeah, civil rights law. And you got the Civil Rights Act, 1964 too. You got that act, and you got the Act of 68. All right. Civil rights law. Saying the same crap I had on mine, right? But we're looking at the entire bill. Nicknames. Long title. Nickname. Indian Civil Rights Act. Indian Bill of Rights. Fair Housing Act. Housing Rights Act. Open Housing Act. Anti-Riot Act. Federal Anti-Riot Act. Rat Brown Act. Rat Brown Law. Civil Obedience Act. The Stokey-Carmichael Act. Let's see. Let's tap on that. All these certain laws and acts and stuff, when they try to tell you that these fake Indians are the ones that look like Mexicans is who this is about. I'm sorry. But this was signed during the riots. During the King riots. What was Martin Luther King fighting for? Civil rights. He got murked. Somebody peeled his cat back. People start going crazy because it was a riot. They signed the law. They can't just say Negro because black fall under any and everybody. They had to specify what they was talking about, which was the Indians, which is us. So now, right? Public Law 9284, if you want to check that out yourself. It's public law, man. Public law. I think I already got this act, but I'm about to save it anyway. Alright. Anyway, public information. So let's go back to this affirmative action thing.
When you think about your college experience, was the person you thought was most interesting the one who had the highest SAT score? I doubt it, right? It was someone who was from a diverse background. It was someone who you never thought that you would meet, right? I grew up a certain way, and the people that I gravitated towards, because you're going to a place for these 4 years to learn something new, to learn about different people, were folks who are not from New York City. And that, for me, is what affirmative action is actually about.
So let's just go after people that are just interesting.
Right. Yeah.
That's the criteria. Good luck with that, Jessica.
Yeah, that's
all right. Come in. I'm here to judge if you're interesting or not.
That's what the attorney
You
data.
look like you could have. You look different.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna dye their hair purple, Jessica. That was my Jessie impression.
One of the attorneys for the Students for Fair Admissions who's bringing, this on behalf of their students says that what they object to is the consideration of race and race by itself.
Yeah.
Right, and so here's I want a couple of things. First of all, Clarence Thomas said, what does the word diversity mean? Because it really has become this catch-all term. His point was that it can mean whatever you want it to mean, and so that has to be taken into consideration. Carrie Severino, she's a lawyer who said that the university tried to suggest that the racial aspect of their admission standards had little impact on admissions, but that they need it in order to have diversity. I think that they just walked themselves into basically the situation where John Roberts, the Chief Justice, said, I'm not buying it. The other thing is, what's a national security imperative? It's the fact that we have K through 12 education that is so bad, and learning loss from COVID with horrible test scores. The key to making sure that more people have access to good colleges and good test scores, and also all the extracurricular activities they do, is to improve K through 12 education. If you're listening to this argument and your answer is, well, we really need to keep race-based admissions going because, well, actually you don't have a good answer for that, but you don't think you have to improve K through 12 education, you're on the wrong track.
Jesse, it's really interesting to watch the left react to minorities who don't believe in affirmative action.
I'm going to pass on this one.
What do you mean?
You're not allowed to pass.
You
Save
don't
time
ever
for the
pass on
fastest.
anything.
I'm confused by the story. Who's upset? Is it whites or Asians?
Asian Americans.
Just Asians are upset.
Well, they brought the case.
They brought the case, yes.
Bang. Let's go back to who signed that law with the Barack Obama situation. Hold on, let me go back. What was the lady? What was the Democratic name? Grace Ming? Who's Grace Ming? Let's see who Grace Ming is. Let's see who Grace Ming is. We know who this phony guy, Barack, is. Let's see who Grace Ming is. Grace Ming. Is an American lawyer, huh? What's her background? See some images of Grace Ming. That's Grace Ming. That's Grace Ming right there. So her, now Ming could be a Mexican. She looks like she could be Mexican, Venezuelan, Colombian. She could be from, where she could be from? She could be from Asia, China, Japan, Kawasaki. She could be from Bangladesh. You feel me? No, matter of fact, she could be Native American if she wanted to be. All she gotta do is put on some feathers and go, ooh. You like, yup, look at it. The high cheekbones, yup, look, she look Native American to me. Stupid. So this Asian chick, right, wanted to get Oriental off the books and get Asian American. Now, then Obama puts an addition to that and say, let's get rid of Negroes out of this country. Let's turn them to African Americans. So now they don't have no civil rights. I just took their civil rights away. So now Asian Americans are complaining that affirmative action, which was created for black Americans to be able to have a foot in the door in a system that closes the door on them and disenfranchises black people in this country from business, from doing business in this country, which is against the law, which is against the treaties. Now they're complaining that affirmative action is cutting them out. So now the courts is about to wipe away affirmative action, which help solidify that the Fair Housing Act, the Fair Job Act. All these fair acts is because of affirmative action. They didn't need none of that fair crap before the civil rights laws were passed. This chick, come on, man. There's a million freaking people from South America look just like that coming to this country. They probably live next door to you. They cut your grass. They build your house. They work in the deli. They speak Spanish. They speak Mandarin. They speak Congolese. They speak all that crap. They hybrids. Man, listen, man. So all I'm saying is, for my Americans, for my Aboriginals, for my black people who recognize who they are and know we ain't just got Indian in our blood, we are the Indians. They're wiping us out. You know, they're by their laws and standards, they're wiping us out. By their laws and in their books, they done wiped us out. They erased us. Which the pen is mightier than the sword. So they erased us, right? Now, let me go back to that YouTube video. What did she say? Who's
Asian.
mad?
Just Asians are.
You're not allowed to pass.
You
Same
don't
time for
ever
the
pass on
fastest.
everything, anything.
I'm confused by the story. Who's upset? Is it whites or Asians?
Asian Americans. Asian.
Just Asians are upset.
Well, they brought the case.
They brought the case, yes.
White people are also upset, but they're not.
But they're not.
White
But
people are also upset.
they're not in the cases.
Well, they have been historically because there used to be a huge advantage, and now there's less of an advantage because Asians
And now Asian
are
Americans are
testing
being-
better than whites.
Did you read your notes?
Yeah, I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. Dog. Now, I can go way back into history and show you where Asians has been trying to take over our country forever. The Mayans used to roll their goddamn heads down their temple steps. You don't believe me? Let's go to my page. Go to my groups. Let's go to one of my groups. It's called Bori. And I have a picture up here. Now I talk about the Seminole Wars and all that, man. Get into deep. What race mean, the Great Black Migration, but here we go. And there are other pictures. They were rolling their heads down the steps, you hear me? These Asians have been trying to take over since before the white man and before the Africans came over here from Spain and Portugal and from England. They were coming through the Bering Straits and they were coming over the Pacific, invading South America, invading Mexico, trying to come through California. The Caliphs were beating their asses. The Caliphs were beating the Asians down. The Caliphs of California, that's what California is named after, that native tribe. They said the women were like 7 feet tall, Amazon women. See, the Asians have been trying to take over America long before, you know, the Africans, the Spanish Africans from Spain and Portugal. See, a lot of people believe that it was the white man that came over here and tried to open up trade with the Shinnecocks and with the Lenapes and those other tribes that was, on the coast of New York and New Jersey. Ain't no white man come over here first. No. Those are blacks that came here. Those were Africans. They forget about, they say 700 years that the Moors ran Europe, but it was way longer than that. They took over Europe. Italy, Sicily, a lot of the Europeans that came over here in the late 1800s, in the early 1900s, that came through Ellis Island, these people from Slovakia, these people from Ireland, the Irish were created by Africans. More-ish, more Irish. Why did the English didn't like them and enslaved them? Sicilians, Italians, Spain, Portugal. Look it up. And these Moors, they wasn't the Sunni Muslims or the Shiite Muslims we had today. They were actually Judites. They were Jews. You can look at their temples, look at their geometry. They were not the contemporary Muslims of today. Even Muhammad himself that's a whole different story. But these agents have been trying to take over this country for a long time. And the people who they call Native Americans, the Mexican-looking people, those are the Asians who we was beating their ass. And we pushed them to the plains, to the flatlands of this country. They was hunting buffalo. That's what they was doing. We had them out there, go out there and hunt the buffalo. These are the tribes. Those are the so-called 5 civilized tribes. They need to say 4 because the Seminoles were nothing but all the what we call black people, Negroes today. All those people, those different tribes, came together and beat the colonists' asses. Won every Seminole war they ever had. They still taking their land. What do you think Hurricane Katrina was about? What do you think them letting all them Cubans up in here back when they had the Cuban Missile Crisis? What do you think all that was about? They've been still taking the Seminoles' land. Talking about the Shinnecox in upstate New York, in Long Island. Old dirty bastards, for some of y'all that's my age. Flavor Flav, these people that are from that tribe. LL Cool J. They are from the Shinnecock tribe. So, this whole affirmative action, I'm trying to take affirmative action. Not mind, let me go back to the video. Who's mad about who's getting affirmative action?
Asian people are also upset, but they're not.
I'm confused by the story. Who's upset? Is it whites or Asians?
Asian Americans.
Just Asians are upset.
Well, they brought the case. Yes.
White people are also upset, but they're not.
White people are also upset.
So, I'm going to just recap on what I was saying. Why is it going to be an end to affirmative action? They're trying to use the excuse Asians are mad because they can't get in Harvard and Yale because they have affirmative action and they're putting a back burner to other people. Majority of the people that are checking the black box ain't even black. They from India, they from wherever, and they check, oh, I'm black. So they can get in Harvard. But they trying to use the Harvard excuse to knock out affirmative action. Which affirmative action goes with the civil rights laws. So you knock out that, then, mind you, I told you, Barack Obama, with a stroke of a pen, erased black people out of this country. Let's go to it's public law. Public law. Right here. Obama signs bill eliminating Negro Oriental from the federal laws. So Negro goes back to colored. What are civil rights laws about? Negroes. Who helped sign the law with this dude? He's not even black. He's Indonesian, man. Who helped sign the law? Her name was Grace Ming. An Asian. Who wanted the word Oriental wiped off of the government records. And that was replaced with Asian American. Let me go back up. You want to know the bill was sponsored by? Sponsor means she sponsored it. Meaning she sat home and wrote this shit out. The new bill changes the language to Asian American from the Department of Energy Act has for decades described minorities as a Negro, Puerto Rican, American Indian, Eskimo, Oriental, or Aleut, or is a Spanish-speaking individual of Spanish descent. The new bill changes the language to Asian American. That could be somebody from India, that could be somebody from Bangladesh, that could be somebody from Thailand, that could be somebody from freaking China, Japan. That could be some, you know what I'm saying? That could be somebody from Hindustan. Shit. That could be somebody from Pakistan. Okay? Native Hawaiian, that's anybody born in Hawaii. Obama's a native Hawaiian. But he was born in Hawaii. But his father was Indonesian. And his mama was white. I got the pictures. A Pacific Islander. Somebody born somewhere in the Pacific on one of the Pacific Islands. It just broadens the case here. African American. What the hell does that mean? What country in Africa? What tribe? African American can be anybody that hails from Africa. Anybody with Africoid complexion can be African. You feel what I'm saying? But African Americans didn't fight for civil rights. African Americans didn't fight in the Civil War. African Americans didn't fight in the War of Independence. Americans didn't fight in the Spanish American War. African Americans, come on. What have African Americans, the title, have done? Nothing. They have just voided all treaties. And what does African American go back to? Do I still have it up on here? Here's Grace Ming. There she go. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. She could be Mexican. She could be from South America. She could be anything. She could be Chinese, Japanese. She could be Korean. These freaking people are hybrids, man. But this is a chick that wanted Oriental wiped out. Now that's back in 2016. Mr. Barack Hussein Obama wiped out with the stroke of a pen. He did what this country can never do, is wipe us out. He did it with a stroke of a pen. Of their records. This country is run by federal law. So if he just erased a whole nation of people, according to federal law, those people don't exist in this country. And now Asians, people that look like her, are complaining that they can't get in Harvard and Yale because of affirmative action. Let's go to the Civil Rights Bill. Just a recap before I get out of here, man. Can't do this all night. There we go. Civil Rights Act 1968. Public law. Civil Rights Act 1968. Public law. 90-284. 82nd statute. 73. Enacted April 11th, 1968, is a landmark law the United States signed into law by the United States President Lyndon B. Johnson during the King assassination riots. Because if anybody look up the King assassination riots, we went to the White House and burnt it down. They didn't do this out of the kindness of their heart. They did this because we was burning this country down, like we always have done. They know they can't fight us in war. They know they can't beat black. This is why they bring Africans and people from the Caribbean and people from South America and all of, because they weak. Bring people over here from Arabia and all that. Hell yeah, they Muslim and all that, and you don't say nothing against Allah. They weak. They won't even go against their own people in their own countries that do them wrong. But they want to come over here and steal and rob and get special privileges in our country, stealing from us. They weak. Bunch of yes people. Bunch of slaves. See, we were never slaves. I don't care how many times, how many movies they come out with saying we were slaves, how much they put it into the school books and make us, believe that crap. We were never slaves. If we were slaves, it would be no reason for them to bring so many immigrants into this country. For what? They had us. Obviously, we ain't no slaves because we'll burn this bitch down. We ain't doing, you know how black people act. We ain't doing that shit. Get out of here. Anyway, let's go. What were black people fighting for in the 60s and the 50s and 60s? Civil rights, right? We left the reservation in the South because of Jim Crow. And according to the Constitution, we were the Indians not taxed. But once the Indian leaves his reservation and leave his land and join the white society and become a citizen, then he has to pay tax. That's what we did. It's called the Great Black Migration. Now they call it the Great African American Migration. Now they're replacing black with African American in all the language now. Like they never called us Negroes or colors and nothing. See how they're trying to wipe that out? Well, they're going to it because it's law. It's signed into law, signed and sealed. I wish Trump was able to, he was going to avoid everything that Barack Obama ever did. And I wanted him to. He said, make America great. What's America if black people ain't here? Fools. Y'all just voted your existence out of office. Niggas are trying to tell you, man. Black women has been compromised by the government. They give them crumbs. And black women would turn on a black man and turn on their own children for Section 8 and a food stamp card and some wigs. And bad housewives of Cardi B and shit. They would trade on their whole nation for a pocketbook, son. For a perm kit. They've done it. After 1968, once they passed the Civil Rights Law, they had to figure out a way to knock us down. What'd they do? They separated the black woman from the black man, made her a minority. Black women get almost the same privileges as immigrants that come into this country. Why do you think more black women get jobs than black men out here? Even if they're not working, they got a place to live, they got a roof over their head. They getting food stamps, Medicaid, all that, just so they won't have a black man in their house. Why? Because the nuclear family is what creates a community. A strong community creates a strong nation. A strong nation will go against a nation that is trying to oppress them and disenfranchise them, just like we did. That's the reason why this act was even signed in the first place, because we was wilding. In church pants and church shoes. We were wilding in church shoes. So they had to figure out a way to break up the nuclear family, and they did it through the welfare system. But then black women were still harboring their men. So they had to figure out another way. They start taking the job. Why you think ain't no factories? Why you think America don't produce any products no more? After the Civil Rights Act, they start shipping everything to Mexico, down to Texas, and to China. Just to stop black people from advancing economically. That's why there's no factories in America no more. If you ain't been listening, I hope you listening now. All the factories were in the city. Where did black people migrate to? Out of the South. The inner city. Watts. South Central. South side of Chicago. Harlem. Brooklyn. Jersey. Philly. All the worst areas in this country here, that's where black people migrated. Guess what was there back in World War I, back in World War II? Factories. So black people migrated to places where there was work. We didn't come up here because we wanted to be here, because we wanted to chill. We came up here because Jim Crow was not allowing us to work. They were overcharging us and taxing us on our own land. We were sharecroppers. They were overtaxing us and putting us in debt. So we left by the millions. And soon we went, we had to fight to maintain and stay. They started building highways, and this was the creation of the suburbs. This was subsidized housing they created for the immigrants that were living in the inner city. They didn't want them to band with us. Because a lot of them whites and the Italians and them Germans and them Jews were not classified as white yet. They were ethnic whites. Because historically they know they were created by black people. Africans. North Africans. But in order to strengthen the white race, they started to classify all them people as white, start using the color code. So they start creating highways, start building suburbs. Then they created they gave the Italians and the Jews the banks, and they gave them the police station and the fire station. They let them open up corporations, and they was cutting us out. They moved them in the suburbs, created highways for them to get to the inner city, to go to work and get out of there and go back to their suburban homes. They created mini malls. This is where the creation of the mini malls and malls came from, for them. They moved them out. They built the inner city that we live in. Then they moved them out so they could decimate the inner city. With the welfare system, try to cause division within our families by giving a woman housing and this and that, and telling her she got to keep the black man out of her house, keep the father away from his children in order to have housing, this, that, and the third, and health care. They started closing factories, moving them overseas and down south. That was cutting the black man from having a job, from taking care of his family. They were ripping up black neighborhoods to build highways and hospitals and colleges to further decimate the black community and the economic value that the black community had. Then when that didn't work, they flooded the community with drugs. So those men who didn't have a job could supplement their income by destroying their own people by selling drugs to them. Then they started to create propaganda in the form of the black exploitation movies of the 70s to show the black man as a pimp and a hustler and all this, and the black woman as some prostitute, the superfly guy. And they started to create trends. And we started to create music that reflected that. And then we created music to stop us from doing stuff like that. And they got into the music. You know what the music sound like today? So all these things they was doing to keep us at a low level, to keep us disenfranchised. Because they know that we were going to take our country back eventually. Why do you think they decimated the Black Panther Party? Not the Black Panthers. The Black Panther Party. Just like you have the Democratic Party. Just like you have the Republican Party. Black people had become Democrats until after 1968. Black people were Republicans. When I pledge allegiance to the flag, I don't pledge allegiance to the flag to the Democratic. I pledge allegiance to the flag to the republic for which I stand. One nation under God, individual, and for liberty for all. I don't stand for a This is what democracy is. The Democratic Party is showing you what democracy is. Keeping your ass poor while they rich. You don't see what's going on now? Using black people, using racism and all this crap, bigotry, discrimination, using that as a means to gain power over everything and everybody. Once they separated the black woman from the black man through the welfare system and through the housing system and through the religious system, which is the church, the black church, they made sure she always voted Democrat. If you ever look, black women are who and what holds down the Democratic Party. Now they're being replaced. Now, why did they erase black, Negro? After the civil rights, why Obama do that? Because you look at the civil rights laws. What is it? What is the name of the civil rights law? It's called the Indian Civil Rights Act, the Indian Bill of Rights, Fair Housing Act, Housing Rights Act, Open Housing Act, Anti-Riot Act, all this stuff here, right? So Negro goes to color, goes to Indian. But once they said, change our title to African American, African, right, is really Libya. Libya is Africa. North Afri comes from the Phoenicians. Afar, which means dust. Okay? Anyway, see, America played a word game. That's why you need a lawyer when you get a contract, because you might not understand the language, the legal language. So the Indian Civil Rights Act, why didn't put Negro Civil Rights Act? Why didn't put African? Because those are broad titles. A Negro could be anybody from anybody with a dark complexion from anywhere in the world. We are the majority of the world. The Negroid phenotype is the majority of the world. I don't care what your television shows you. Dark complected people are the majority of people in the world. So to say Negro civil rights is basically giving civil rights to every dark-complected person in the world that comes to this country. Which they're doing that now, but they had to erase us. Because at the time, all those people wasn't here in 1968. Can say African because there's no Africa in Africa. You have countries and you have tribes. You just can't say Africa. You just can't do that. That's an ignorant understanding of that continent and how that continent works. So they had to be specific on who this bill was targeting and who this bill was for. And it was for the Indian people, which is the Negro people. Because we were burning Washington, D.C. down. They want to talk about January 6th. They can talk about that. We burnt that bitch down. They had no choice but to sign that law, or we was on a trip. So this is why Obama erased the Negro from government law, according to their law. See, the thing is, right? The thing is, right, that we don't have to be under their laws. We don't have to go by their code. This is our country, man. We the landlords. I don't care what they have on paper. It was Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand who wrote a decree that all the lands, all the unknown lands of the New World is up for grabs. And they came over here with some decree from Queen somebody that we start killing them immediately. So now the Asians want to get rid of affirmative action. And now they're really talking about getting rid of affirmative action. So look at your screen here. Your Civil Rights Act Because you don't want to be, you want to be, you don't want to be who you are. You don't want to be the truth. You want to be, you don't want to be Indian. You don't want to be Aboriginal. No, we from Africa. We the kings and queens of Egypt. Go to Egypt. See what they look like. See how they treat your black ass. Go to Egypt. And watch one of them Arab Egyptians take a dump right next to the pyramid. And then cover it with sand and ask you, do you want to get on a camel and take a tour? You won't see them do that next to their masjids, though. You won't see them do that next to their mosque. But they're pissed right on the temple. Right on the pyramid. They ain't the real Egyptians, dog. Those pyramids ain't even real. You want to be the truth? It's a tourist attraction. Your history started in 1492. That's all you know. Before that, the world was flat. All of a sudden, the world became round. East was west, and west was east. North was south, and south was north. And you became a tribal savage. And God was white. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. You believe you was a slave. The only real slave trade that ever really happened is the Arab slave trade. I ain't even gonna go through all that right here. I ain't here for all that. All I'm here is to let my Americans know. When I say Americans, you know who I'm talking to. My name is Sadu Amaru. Al-Hanif Wasalam. So if you're Amarucan, then you know what's going on. They're trying to erase us on paper, but we don't, fuck they paper. We ain't got to go by their laws. They the ones that made a treaty with us. We said we won't trip if you act right. That was the whole deal. But they using all this trickology and all this wordplay and propaganda to try to keep us ignorant so they can take over. They know this God's country, man. They know who he is. They know we the original people. Africans are not the original people of Earth. Black Americans are. Look it up. It's in your blood. Old blood type. Look up where old blood type comes from. America. Who's the majority of old blood type? Black Americans. Because we the original, the aboriginal. You want to break it down? We the people of Abraham. Look up what Abraham, I got that on my page. Look up what Abraham's name means. It means their feathers or their wings. Who wore the feathers and the wings? The aboriginals. Where's the oldest pyramids at? In the Americas. Where the oldest people are. Where did music really originate? What was the first indigenous music of this country? The blues. From the blues came rock and roll, came everything else. We sponsored music. Come on, I don't even want to go all into we don't understand our power. And because of that, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge. Right here in your face, man. Black women, your time is done. You're being replaced by Nigerian women, women from the Caribbean, who are Africans, a lot of them. Women from it. They sat there and said Kamala Harris was a black woman when she was running for vice president, campaigning. When she got it, then they said she was an Asian American. Flipped it on y'all. Y'all voted for this chick, the first black woman, yeah, girl, black girl power, black girl man, played y'all asses. Keeping y'all poor in y'all Section 8 houses. Keeping y'all poor in y'all low-income communities. Y'all basically prostitutes. Destroying our children. Letting them turn the gang violence, the destruction of our community is being raised by the women of the community. Nobody want to talk about that. Nobody want to address that. You ask any man who raised them, my mama. Any gang that throwing up and kill all type of niggas in the hood. Who raised you? My mama, my grandma. What's going on? Then you want to blame the daddies for not being there? It was the mamas that taught the daddies not to be there. What happened? We all family. We all ain't come from another country. We all came from the South, or we was living where we at since forever. And we sitting here killing ourselves. We are family. When I see another black man, black American, I'm like, you from here, your grandmama from here, your great-grandmama from here, your granddad, everybody in your family is from here. You my brother, you my cousin, for real. You my blood, for real. You from Jamaica, you from, we ain't relatives. You ain't of my tribe or my bloodline. Because that's exactly how they feel when they over here. That's exactly how they feel. I don't care if they speak perfect English. Y'all went to school together, whatever. That nigga know you ain't him, and he know. They family make sure they draw a line. We don't draw no lines for some reason. We got this whole inclusion thing going. Come on, man. What happened to soul food, man? What happened to soul food, man? You got cornbread factories out here being run by Mexicans. What happened to soul food? You know soul food, look it up. Soul food is the indigenous cuisine of America. How is soul food, if we was brought from Africa, how is soul food the indigenous cuisine of America? Indigenous. Oh, they say, oh, niggas got it from Indians. Yeah, okay. All I hear is black people. Black people this, black people that, black people this. I don't hear nothing about these fake ass Mexicans living on a reservation, getting a little monthly check from the government to shut up and act like Indians and ooh at their powwows. Freaking Mexican white mongoloids, fake ass. Yeah, they native. Anybody born in this country is native. We all Native Americans. Anybody born, it's in the Constitution. You're born in this country, you're a citizen of America. That means you are native to America. You are Native American. Native American does not mean you are indigenous or aboriginal to America. Indigenous people, everybody's indigenous to somewhere. So just saying I'm indigenous, what that mean? An Asian is indigenous to Asia. He's indigenous. But indigenous from what region, what location, what nation, what tribe are you from? What bloodline? I come from the original people. I come from the people before the people. I come from the first person. I'm old blood type. That means original. That means beginning. Before the beginning is zero. It's before the one. It's O. I'm O positive. That means my blood type, that's why O is the universal blood type and most sought out blood type. Because it's the original, meaning your blood goes back to the original human being, to the Adam and Eve. They don't talk about that, black man, black woman. You out here aborting your babies, don't know that they go back to the original people. We created Kemet. We created Africa. They come from us. Those are our children. That's why you think they don't like us when they come over here. Why you think they imitate us? They don't come over here with their kente clothes and shit and doing their African bullshit. They come over here looking and dressing like us, wanting to be us. And suck up to the white man. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. I do whatever you say, boss. Okay. Okay, okay. They come over here and they make them be slaves. And they say, oh, the black man don't want to work. And black men black people don't want to work. Black men, they don't want, yeah, goddamn right. This is my goddamn country. I ain't being no slave for nobody. Goddamn right. You bring slaves here. That's what they did. The only slaves that came over here in boats were your white people. All them Irish and German and Polish and Slovakians and Ukrainians, Italians, Germans, Jew, all of them that came over here in boats in the 1900s, came through Ellis Island, living in Brooklyn and the Bronx and Queens and Staten Island. Those were slaves. They the ones who built the Brooklyn Bridge and man, they enslaved them to do that. Then they shipped them up into suburbs, and we came up here from the south. Like, nah, man, they built it. Now we gonna take over. That's what happened. We ain't no slaves like that, man. That's why they pin everybody against us to make them work harder. You don't want to be like them niggas. You better get 2 jobs, because the nigga only got 1. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what they do. They sit and throw religion. Why do you think we the most religious people in the world? Bump this country in the world. God comes from us, man. We are the gods. Everybody else need a symbol. They need a building. They need a moon and a star. They need a cross. We gods already. We don't need all that. Black people don't need all that. We got God wherever we at. We don't need no church. The church is the worst infiltration and destruction in the black community anyway. Always has been. That's what it was created for. If it was equal, they wouldn't call it the black church. They just call it church, nigga. They signed that 501c3 tax exemption, meaning they can't campaign for their congregation in their community. Meaning black church can't campaign for the betterment of black people because they signed a contract with the devil. That's what that means. You don't want to pay taxes? Then don't help these guys. Don't help these black people. Get your tithes and offering. Tell them to worship white Jesus. Don't talk no black Jesus crap. You be paying me taxes. That's really. Even though the preacher pay taxes on his clothes, pay taxes for his food, pay taxes on his house, pay property taxes, pay taxes for his car, pay taxes for the. You probably don't pay taxes for the church van. Probably do. He pay taxes for everything else, but he gonna sell out his community so he ain't got to pay taxes for the church. He can get tithes and offering. That's what the Hebrew Israelites do. That's what the Nation of Islam do. Rob the people. How many temples do Farrakhan have? You know Farrakhan is worth like $6-7 million. Look what's going on in the south side of Chicago. Chicago is the headquarters of the Nation of Islam. The fruit of Islam. Headquarters. 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 This nigga. You do a march on Washington and then tell all black people to kiss some Mexican fake Indians at... Nigga, please. You kill off all the righteous ones. My man Khalid Muhammad would have took this to a whole nother level. He done paid off his wife to kill him. Took out Malcolm X because he wanted to tell the truth about Islam. The true religion of Islam in its form. They try to package Islam as a black nationalist religion. He went to Mecca and he found out that it's not a black religion. It's a religion that accepts people of all backgrounds. And it was designed to be like that so it can overtake Christianity and Judaism. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother religious talk. But once he sat right next to a blue-eyed, blonde-haired Arabian man, and he sat there and made salat and drank out the same, cup, and then came back to America and they talking that Islam is the black man. He's like, you's a goddamn lie. But you should have known that once he knew Farad Muhammad taught Elijah Muhammad. And it's a conspiracy that Farad Muhammad had something to do with killing the noble Drew Ali. Because that's where he was learning from, the noble Drew Ali. So he wanted to be the noble Drew Ali. Yeah, it goes deep. You had all these organizations, these black organizations, coming out in the wake of segregation and all that, Jim Crow and the big black migration and stuff. Look at Harlem. All these great black organizations, a lot of them was in New York, New Jersey, and Chicago, California. Black Panther Party. They wanted to be a political party. They were fighting to be a political party to represent the black people. And their symbol was an indigenous panther, an indigenous mountain lion. The Black Panther is indigenous to America. And what did black people do back in the 60s and 70s? Did not campaign or stand behind those people. And what they did, what J. Edgar Hoover did, that's where the heroin and the crack and all that came in at. I seen the Black Panther movie. The whole Coattail Pro and all that. They're gonna make sure no black man really rises up that's gonna elevate and liberate black people. And if it do, either he's going to be killed or compromised. If they going to have a black man leading this, they created him. Barack Obama. Farrakhan, all these people, they compromised, man. You got black Supreme Court judges that's really about to sign off of getting rid of affirmative action. They black asses wouldn't even be judges if it wasn't for affirmative action. Stupid idiots. You got a lot of black people they want to join Islam. It's cool. I'm Muslim too. But you want to talk about you straight forget you black when you turn Muslim, huh? Go move your ass to Arabia and see how they treat you. Matter of fact, why all of them coming over here? And they opening up shop in your neighborhood, black man. They ain't going to no white people neighborhoods and open up no damn chicken shack and halal spot. Nope. They come into your black ass neighborhood and taking over your community. And you, assalamu alaikum, my brother, Aki, ain't the fuck out of here. They don't got no respect for black people, not even over there. Read your hadith. If you're Muslim, read your hadith. Every slave, every time there's a mention of a slave, they are always Cushite, Ethiopian, Ethiop. Yeah. It's even, you can be killed for even calling the Prophet Muhammad black. To even suggest that he was a black man, it can get you killed in Islam. Say I'm lying. They even say the devil in Islam is a black man. You got all these black people, you know, I understand the NOI and using it and trying to convert it to a black national movement and not totally embracing, you know, the Sunni or Shiite way. You know, but they got to tell the truth about the religion in full. I ain't even going to take it there. It's just black people is just... It's unfortunate what we, you know, what our parents and grandparents and what we are allowing and what our kids and future generations are going to allow to happen, man. You know, it's sad. It's heartbreaking for a revolutionary like me. You know what I'm saying? It's heartbreaking because I'm you know, I'm Indian. I'm black. I'm Negro. I'm colored. I know my history. I could tell you, I'm Muskogee Creek, Cherokee, Blackfoot, Seminole. My peoples come from Alabama, North Carolina, and the islands of the Carolinas. Tabby Island, Hilton Island. And I'm Gullah Geechee, baby. You know what I mean? I'm a mix of different tribes because my parents and grandparents come from two different... On my father's side, they were all family. My grandfather and grandmother were cousins. My great-grandparents were brother and sister. Different mother. Same father. That's how tribes work. Tight-knit communities. We were all family. That's on my father's side. On my mother's side, it's a little mixed. That's why I got the Creek, because of my grandfather's mother. She was Creek Indian, but she got with a Seminole, a dark Indian from the Carolinas. And a lot of the Creeks are mixed, so they're a little lighter. Because they was with them the French and all that. It's because my great-grandmother looked like a white woman. And she married the blackest tar baby she could find. And her family, her tribe, her family kicked... my grandmother's from a reservation. She got kicked out of the reservation because of that. She's from Eufaula, Alabama. That's a reservation. But she got with a Seminole. They had my grandfather. My grandmother was from the South. She's a lone wolf. You know, she traveled on her own, but they was from the South. But a lot of my family was in Jersey. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, those are different tribes that came together. Different people from different tribes that came together. So that's why I can Creek, you know. And Seminole ain't nothing but a mix of Cherokee and, you know, a whole bunch of Mobile and a whole bunch of other tribes coming together to be really one tribe. And, you know, they call them Seminoles, which mean the wild ones. You know, the people that wasn't compromised or whatever. So I know my tribal history. Do you? Or you think you black? You think you a crayon? You know what I'm saying? Negro means black. Same thing. Think you a crayon? Nah, man. We Indian. They removed that name. Paid some Mexicans to act Indian and do powwows. And why you gotta pay people to act like Indians? Why you gotta pay them to stay on a reservation and stay hid? Even when Black Lives Matter was launching their little fake organization, you had the fake Indians come out talking about, what about us? Now shit your ass down. You getting a check. Go get on your reservation. Go open a casino or something. Get your ass out of here. Ain't nobody listening to y'all. Ain't nobody hearing y'all fake y'all Mexicans. Ain't nobody trying to hear y'all. Y'all Asian, Mongoloids, Siberians. That's what y'all is. I'm just naming where y'all from and who y'all are. You wanna misname me, you wanna mischaracterize me and my people, but I know who you are. I know where you from. And it's just a shame that all my people don't. It's a shame that we kill each other and we do what we do, and we're allowing other people It's a shame that we're color coded. We're thinking everybody that has brown skin is us. A tiger is not a lion. A lion is not a leopard. A zebra is not a horse, man. Same family. We're all in a human family, but we're different phenotypes. Come on, man. And it's just sad to know this stuff. And it's, you know, people just retarded, man. Just retarded. But, you know, this the act, man. People just retarded. And these Asians, Seminole right there. Seminole Indian Scouts, man. Y'all need to look up who the Seminoles was. Man. Matter of fact, come on my page, man. Now, she's the Geechee leader, tribal leader, queen, really. But they even think they from Africa. With no African roots, nothing. They say they got a word or two that sounds African. Man, get out of here. It's just, this whole idea of we African need to, that was put into play to, look, they couldn't beat us. You looking at it, Seminole Wars, they couldn't beat us. With the hands. They couldn't beat us. So what they do? They had to engineer some type of delusion in order to get us mentally away from our land. To get us mentally away from our land. By saying that, telling us that we was from somewhere else. We were African. I remember, man, cat when I was a kid, cat called me African. I want to fight. I would want to fight. Somebody call me African today, I probably want to fight. Goddamn African. But these Asians have been taken over.
Festival was held just recently in Guajinicuilapa, Guerrero, Mexico. This is great news because Afro-Mexicans have never had a space to create awareness of themselves and to allow their presence to be known in their motherland of Mexico. You see, a lot of people are not aware.
Yeah, a lot of people are not aware because they hide for the Asians that took over. Come on, man. But anyway, but even look at her, man. Look at her. She's still Asian. You got an Asian talking. You don't even see black people. They don't even show them. Now, where did Afro come from? America, us. We created Afro. Check this out.
I think you're not supposed to say Indian either. Oh, wait, really? Yeah. I think you're supposed to call them African Americans.
Wait. Hold up. We're going to be dropping bombs. Wait a minute. Let's play it one more time for the people way in the back.
I think you're not supposed to say Indian either. Oh, wait, really? Yeah. I think you're supposed to call them African Americans.
Listen. Did you notice that he didn't say Native Americans? He said what? He said African American.
On my page, I talk about the Seminole Wars, and they don't want you to know about all that. The Geechee Gullah people who got their
Lives Matter has nothing to do with the original
Exactly. So I was going to some big, great black migration. Look it up. These damn Asians. We, the Mayans, were killing them and rolling their heads down the steps. These are the Asians who have been invading this hemisphere for centuries. You hear me? Centuries. And we've been killing them. We've been going to war with them throughout all the Americas. The Samoans were going to war with them in Hawaii and kicking their asses, and then those Asian tribes banded with the white people to take the Samoans' land. How did Samoans get on Hawaii? The Mayans were kicking their ass. And when you ever watch the movie Apocalypse, they show you the Asians killing other Asians and rolling their heads down. That wasn't that, it was the blacks rolling them Asians heads down the damn steps. But when the Spanish came, they banded with the Asians against the Mayans. And they, and then the Spanish brought disease and stuff like that too, which wiped out a lot of these people. See, the Asians are already diseased and everything anyway, so. But they were killing them. Straight killing them. Right? With the 5 civilized tribes. Was the Asiatic tribes banding with the white people. Matter of fact, I got a video on that. It's from this dude, Tariq Nasheed. He used to be on that African thing, but then the guy, Dane Calloway, was really exposing the fact that we are not African. And I think he got into a debate with this guy. And, he at least he had to talk about the Aboriginals of this country and keep talking about Africa and all this other crap.
The red-skinned natives many times to be pitted. The red-skinned natives many times to be pitted against the black-skinned Aboriginals. They were the ones who were helping to capture some of the black-skinned Native Americans and Aboriginals. And then at one point, they started to redefine some of the natives who were black-skinned and called them Negro. This is very well documented. Then, going into the 1900s, they had something called the Dog Zone, where they had a census where they were going to take track of all of the Native Americans and the Aboriginal people. The black people, they just labeled them freedmen or Negro, and white people who wanted to get some of the benefits of being a Native American paid money under the table. They paid $5 to get listed on the census kit. And that's when it turned $5 Indian. Most of the people claiming Native American that you see are white people who ain't got now drop of damn Native American blood in.
This is a fact. This is a super fact. I think what's the tribe? I don't want to get it wrong. The tribe they out there in the Southamptons. They're the only fully black tribe.
Shinnecock?
Yeah, the Shinnecock Nation. So they invited me up there. I went to go speak to some of them. And they're the only tribe that has never left their land, so they never lost.
They're not the only one.
Not the treaty of the United States government. It's in their own treaty, so they have true sovereignty, right? And so it perplexes me that when you go up there, this is right next to the Hamptons, right? And then them rich people hate them over there because they got real, true sovereign claim to the land. But they're as dark as you and darker than me. Some are lighter, right? But most of them are dark-skinned black people.
I think Flavor Flav is
yeah.
from that tribe.
Yep, exactly.
From that tribe, yeah.
So it's like, but we get this notion in our head that they look like, Mexicans, modern day Mexicans as they do today.
So, I'm just saying, man, I just put all this out here for the simple fact that, you know, people just need to wake up to what it is, man. They've been trying to erase us and erase us and erase us, man. And this guy did it legally. But the only, you know, issue, the real issue is, do we accept that? Once we recognize who we are fully and take claim to our land, their laws, the treaties, they done violated the treaties that they supposed to have with us. Violated. Violated. So they didn't honor their agreements with us, so we don't have to honor their agreements, we don't have to honor their law, their statutes, none of that crap. You know, and really, you know, to all my Americans, you know what I'm saying? To all my black people, I don't care what you went to, real talk, even if you black Muslim, black Hebrew, whatever. You know, all this talking and debating and podcast, man, forget all that, man. You got people like Bill Gates and Facebook and China just buying up all the land in America. Buying up all the farmland. America is for sale. What did Kanye West say? America is for sale right now. Why is it for sale? Because they erased the landlord. You get rid of the landlord, anybody can get the house. That's why you think we got open borders now? Why you think people from all over the country, Venezuela, Mexico, and all this crap, is just coming into this country? They got rid of the landlord. On paper, the landlord don't exist. The house is open, baby. The doors is open. Because they erased the Negro. Turn them into an African American. African American have no stake in this country. Has no rights in this country. Has no lien on this country at all. This dude right here, this guy, just erased you from being the landlord of your own country. And has now, his vice president, Biden, has continued his work on erasing us and opened the door to the country. Not they're erasing us, they're trying to erase us economically. All the little hoods and cities that we've been living in for the last 50 years, what are they calling it now? What's the word? What's that word? Well, yeah. What's the word? I forgot the word. What the hell? Basically, white people moving in, other people moving in our neighborhoods, and we being moved out. That's what's going on. We're being replaced. Our communities is being replaced. You think they knocked down all the projects in all these major cities because they just wanted crime to get better? Crime has even got worse if they knock down the projects. They knock down the projects because how you gonna get all them people out of that building like that? Those are strongholds. So I don't care if you black Muslim and you pray 5 times a day. If your ass ain't going to live in Arabia and being a citizen over there, then you need to be fighting for home. Your religion don't mean shit. It's your people. It's your land. The religion you worship was formed in a land by a people, by a tribe. This is a lot of us in black people in the religious faith. We don't understand that these religions come from a certain tribe of people. What tribe did the Prophet Muhammad come from? What tribe did Jesus come from? Look up what tribe they come from. Look up the people that they come from. Look up why they became the people that they became. Because their people were being oppressed. Because something was going on with their people, with their house, with their tribe. And they created this religion to liberate their people, their tribe. Christianity too. Where did Christianity come from? Rome. Who were the Romans? The Italians. Where is the center? Where is the Mecca of Christianity? Rome. The papacy, the Pope. Comes from a tribe of people, comes from a certain hierarchy, a certain family. Every United States president has to visit the Pope, kiss his ring. Every United States president has to go to the Wailing Wall in Israel and put a little note in the crack and pray at the wall to Hashem, to Adonai. They don't go to Mecca. And throw stones at the devil, or walk around the Kaaba 7 times, touch the stone. They don't do that. They don't make that trip. So they make sure they go to Israel and touch that wall. They make sure they kiss the Pope's ring, and they make sure they go to England to see the Queen and the King. That lets you know who run this shit. The Jews, the papacy, and England. The British. That's the trinity of control. And all those are the 3 dynamics that took power or went to war with my ancestors and with me. They brought Christianity. They brought Jews and Judaism. This is why we live under a judicial system. And they brought colonialism. And you ever break down colonialism, Christopher Columbus, his last name was Cologne. Or colon. You know what your colon is, right? Do you know what your colon is? So we've been colonized. These people who like to go, why you think homosexuality, oh God, I could break this shit down so deep. Why do you think homosexuality is now is the order of the day now? Huh? Why do you think being a trans and a lesbian and fat, I can't say that and a homosexual, bisexual, why do you think that now that's the law of the land? Huh? Go to Rome. Didn't you see statues with... Do you understand the culture of Rome where men slept with men before they slept with women? So, colonize, colonizers, Colin, right? Same shit. You feel me? These people, all men came over here. They didn't bring women. It was all men that came, all colonizers that came here. All men that like to hit men in the booty. They were colonizers. Huh. And they slept with indigenous women, with aboriginal women, and they enslaved the women and children. Do I gotta Google that too for you? Yo, I said this years ago, and I'm gonna say it one more time. I mean, the information has been changed already, dramatically. But there's still bits and pieces of clarity that you can get, but you gotta shift through the information. But you better get it now. Because they're canceling and wiping things and changing things as we speak. I got the information because I've been looking up this stuff for years. So I got it, it's in the brain. Hey, where your evidence? We should, black people love the evidence when other black people are trying to tell them something. When white people try to tell you something, somebody else try to tell you something, you sit down at your desk like an obedient child and listen. Raise your hand if you got a question and accept whatever answer you get. See, that's the reason. That's why you can't, street preachers and people that like me and other people that just simply out of the love that they have for self and others have researched and really done the search to be able to present this truth to their people, and their people don't accept it. They reject it. And it's because the system in which we're trained to learn. Let me see something there. The system, let me see if I got it here. So I think I had it. Let me see. Nah, I ain't got it. I was about to show you like school desks and crap like that, like, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna show you that, but anyway. It's just the system. I always put this on my phone. 40 acres in it. Yeah, think about it. Why, after the Civil War, why did they, freaking say, oh, we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule? Why would you promise a bunch of Africans that ain't from this country 40 acres and a mule? $40 acres and a mule. You know how much 40 acres is? You know how much a mule was worth back then? That's like $100,000. You get 40 acres and basically you get a mule. That's big. A mule is your bank. We ain't never get our 40 acres or our damn mule. They've been giving our 40 acres away to Italians and Germans and Mexicans and Asians and this corporation and that foundation and this person and that person and whoever came to this country. They just gave our land away. This is why they killed Martin Luther King, because that's one of the last speeches. He was saying they were giving land vouchers and farming vouchers to their peasants. Peasants meaning the slaves. So these colonizers, these who came over here, raping men and women, having abominable intercourse, these colonizers, we call them colonizers. It's just, we're still being colonized today. No other place in the world was colonized except America. No other place, you hear me? No other place in the world was colonized. India? No. But that's it, folks. You don't wake up to who you are, it don't matter. They erase you anyway. You just don't know it. You just don't know it. You're not even black no more. You African American. That shit don't even mean nothing.